There they are. DRG on the left, MMA on the right.
Yes, they are. And the map is going to be Metropolis, so things are all getting started. The anticipation screen is on. I have so much anticipation. And here we go. In the 12 o'clock position on Metropolis, we have our red Zerg player from MVP. It is DongRaeGu.
There he is.
And his opponent at the 9 o'clock position from Slayers, our blue Terran player, MMA.
That's right. So MMA, a chance for revenge, a chance for redemption. He looks focused. He is ready to go. And we'll have to see if he can bring what it takes to take out MVP.DongRaeGu.
Yeah, that's right. And he's certainly going to have to switch it up from what he did before. He was trying for more macro-focused builds. He went Command Center first in one of them. He ended up going a 3-base build in another and was able to hold off a few rounds of Zerglings and Banelings with a decent tank line, but still found himself down early on both of those occasions. So I wonder how he's going to try and put on pressure, if he's going to do it at all, or if he's just going to try and take that super macro route, which may expose him with the earlier bio units that he'll accumulate. To a little bit of heavy Zergling Baneling play like we saw out of DongRaeGu.
Yeah, that's right. Now, this is a little bit bigger of a map, so, I mean, it's going to be something where that type of really aggressive Baneling play may not work as terribly well. I mean, MMA is going to have a lot of chance to see it coming, but look at this, MMA hiding a barracks outside of his base. So it's something that DRG is going to need to worry about a little bit. He's going to, well, we'll see if he scouts it or not. It's a little bit outside of the normal scouting path, but, with a little bit of extra effort, he should be able to find it and know that it's not anything proxy, too close.
Yeah, and we'll see, though. I mean, he did miss the barracks, if you remember, in game number 2 on Antigua Shipyard way back when. He did actually miss the barracks and kind of over-scouted for it, sent out a couple of drone scouts, and it caused a little bit of a worry, although he didn't think that anything was getting proxied. And
barracks.
Indeed, it is a second barracks coming up.
Yeah, so MMA, he is going to put a lot of pressure early on. It's not going to be super hyper-aggressive because it's not right outside of his opponent's base, but it is going to be something that DRG is going to need to deal with. It's going to be a lot of Marines, and look at that. He doesn't see it. He has no idea that MMA is preparing this early aggressive move. He's in an aggressive mood, though, I'm sure.
That early aggressive mood.
That aggressive mood he's in.
Oh, boy.
Yep.
Anyway, so pool coming up now. DongRaeGu not going to do anything like that. A little bit more ridiculous 3-base before pool build he did in game number 1 of the set between them initially, but just something a little bit more standard. We saw already that he does favor the 4-6 queen builds, things like that.
Yep, that's right. So MMA, oh, nice. He does find that Overlord as well. And the Overlord, it's over a safe area at the moment. But if MMA wants to, he can just lift one of those barracks and take it out, do some early damage to DRG that way. But look at that. He sees both barracks now. He knows what's coming. And now he's going to have to respond actually immediately, pulling a lot of drones down to his natural expansion. That's a good first step.
Now, very fortunately for him as well, he actually scouted it as soon as his pool finished, so he didn't have to waste any unnecessary, or he didn't have to produce any drones when he didn't want to. He can go over to just Zerglings and take care of this. Now, I'll be curious to see how heavy MMA actually wants to go with this. He is expanding back at home, as we see, but he hasn't pulled anything off the line as of yet. So,
well, it's not going to be very heavy at all, actually. He's going to go ahead and build a barracks. Or bunker rather, and just try to get DRG to make a few more units and make not drones at this point. MMA is already in a position where he's not going to be able to kill the natural or anything like that with this bunker rush. So right now he just wants DRG to make Zerglings instead of drones, and MMA can hurt his economy that way as well. DRG sending some units around the side there to cut off any reinforcements. MMA might be thinking of sending across, and this is already over. MMA sending those barracks back to his main base. Just going to be some light pressure, but with the spine crawler there, with the Zerglings that DRG has, it's going to be about it. And I know I'm talking for a long time, but there's one more thing I have to say there. Oh, Zerglings getting in and seeing a little bit of stuff, but by putting that bunker outside of the choke point at the natural expansion, if MMA decides to leave that there for a while, that'll actually do a pretty good job of preventing DRG from spreading that very important creep a long way outside the map. So that's kind of still going to be a nice little benefit that MMA gets, even though he wasn't able to do a lot of damage early on.
And MMA, though, still was able to cause economic damage just by his opponent not producing drones throughout that entire time. So as we can see, MMA is only down by 2 workers. He's actually going up to a quick third command center with DongRaeGu. Oh, he was sending his Zerglings over there, but he stopped. He's not going to be able to see it right yet.
Yeah, we'll see if he scouts it. MMA, no, he's going to be able to take out the Zerglings, getting all of them. Yeah, so DRG with nothing in position to scout that third base right now. And so we'll have to see, how quickly DRG is going to be able to find out about that. But MMA, I think the style that we're going to see him go for is what a lot of players and casters would call the SC style of Terran versus Zerg, which means we're going to see a lot of barracks, a lot of Marines, and we're going to see our Terran player trying to just overpower his opponent with sheer numbers.
We've seen a few players also go for a build where they go ahead and separate off their natural from everything else with a few barracks and then switch over to a pretty heavy mech build as well right afterwards. But we do have the double engineering base, so bio upgrades are going to be favored, and it is more than likely going to be that SC style you talked about.
Yep, that's right. That style does rely on those 2 engineering bays. Mech play does certainly work, but MMA is just not that type of guy. In fact, when we saw him play mech earlier against Quantic Illusion, that was actually a bit of a shock. None of us were really expecting him to go for mech play. He wasn't expecting it either. He had just prepared that specifically for Illusion to kind of throw him off.
And that was a really nice touch by MMA there. He left 2 Marines where his bunker was at. One was actually in the bunker, and another one went off to the right. So he was still able to deny this expansion by another 20 or 30 seconds just by the sheer fact that he placed Marines in the right spot. So good little touch by MMA, and we'll see if he's able to use that economic advantage. He is triple producing SCVs at this stage of the game. He's a little bit back in workers, but of course making so many mules at this point.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with this. I mean, DRG, one of the problems that you have as Zerg early on is scouting. It's very difficult to get Overlords in there because of their speed. It's difficult to get Zerglings in. You kind of have to get a little bit lucky if a Terran lets a Zergling in to kind of see their base. So, yep, DRG is going to see the front anyway. He's going to see that all the barracks are producing. So he's going to know that there's a good amount of Marines coming, but he's not really going to know the extent of it. Oh, look at that, though. Nice harassment at that third base, shutting it down for a little while.
Yeah, very nice. Coming at just the right time, another 10 or 15 seconds later, and those Marines would have been able to help reinforce. So, unfortunately for MMA, he loses a few workers there, but of course, the benefit that he's gotten from this base will pay off for him, as he'll keep it up for a good period of time.
Yep, and DRG in position. Wow, killing another SCV. MMA losing 5 workers already this game, but now that the Marines are down to the third base, it looks like DRG is not going to be able to really do a whole lot more. Yeah, a couple mules being dropped there as well. Macro hatch going down for DongRaeGu, and he's getting his 1-1 upgrades as well. So both players just being very, very aggressive in their teching, in their upgrades. DRG, though, looking like he wants to maybe do some damage early on here.
Yes, he does. Yeah. He's got 12 Banelings coming in at the moment. He just produced another round of 16 Zerglings, which are all running across the map. So he's going to have 18 Zerglings and 12 Banelings, and this is going to cause a lot of damage. MMA going to have to react to this very quickly.
MMA is going to have to probably abandon his third if he doesn't react. The Marines not really responding. Oh, a lot of them getting taken out with the Banelings right there. Zerglings surrounding again. And MMA on the run here. He lost a lot of Zerglings, but the Banelings might be able to kill a good amount of workers. A siege tank focusing down a lot, and wow.
MMA dealt with that really, really well.
Kidding.
I mean, he lost some workers. He's going to lose a couple more here over at the natural, but I've got to say, there was a ton of resources from DongRaeGu, and MMA dealt with that spectacularly.
Well, man, those Banelings were bearing down on the SCVs. It was getting so dangerous, but MMA target firing the Banelings down with his only siege tank, able to win. And look at this now from DRG. We've got a Spire on the way, so he is going to move into that Mutalisk play that he enjoys so much.
I want to mention, MMA only lost 1 worker during that entire exchange.
Wow.
12 Banelings, 18 Zerglings, 1 worker lost.
That's pretty incredible control from our Slayer's Terran player, but that's kind of what, a lot of the players on Slayers are known for, that really, really good unit control early game. MMA definitely showing that, but look at the creep spread from DongRaeGu, taking that 4th base and just covering pretty much his whole side of the map already with creep.
And he's going to have quite a bit of gas saved up whenever the Spire does hit, enough for 7 or so Mutas right away, 7 or 8 immediately, and we'll be able to continue adding on some after that, especially depending on if he decides to put up those +1 attacks or not. That being said, 2-2 upgrades are on the way for MMA, and he's even getting his +1 vehicle weapons as well. So he's continuing with his upgrades. He's producing a ton of units. His economy is still great, 72 workers and 4 mules on the field. He's looking pretty good.
Yeah, man. DRG, not looking bad either. He's got a lot of upgrades going. His Spire just finished, so he can put on some harassment with some Mutalisks if he wants to.
He actually... Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say he's got a Zergling in position to watch out for that 4th base. So both of these players kind of, despite a little poke here and there, pretty even.
DongRaeGu ended up investing in a lot of upgrades just before the Spire hit, though, so
Yeah.
that's the reason why he was a little bit short and couldn't produce a ton of those units at once. Oh, this bunker is actually going to go down, but it does help to delay the Zergling attack. At the same time, MMA making his way out in the middle of the map. He's going to need to pull back, though, to this Siege Tank. This has already done a lot of economic damage just by existing, and the Siege Tank actually fires upon his own SCVs a little bit there.
Yeah, a little bit of mass repair on that Siege Tank, though, by the SCVs, and MMA is able to send them back down to the third base and kind of get back in control of things. His push was stopped a little bit, but it's going to be so tough for MMA to push out right now with the amount of creep that's out. It's a good tank spread, but we'll see. I mean, DRG, if he has a good enough amount of Zerglings, rather, he could still try to attack this area.
This is actually a really effective way of denying that awesome creep spread that a lot of Zerg players have been doing, though, setting up this tank line a bit early. Now, there is a possibility that DongRaeGu can kind of overwhelm one side of it with a huge round of Zerglings and Banelings and kind of take it out that way, but I still like the idea from MMA.
Yep, here come a few Mutalisks. So only 4, you need 5 to be able to one-shot workers. So DRG, yeah, especially with that turret there by MMA, not going to be able to do too much damage, killing off a couple workers here and there. Scan goes down to kill some Dreamers and C on the top of the ramp.
Yeah, and
brave queens, but stupid queens as well.
Very stupid queens. There's a fair number of Banelings already out and 11 more on the way. There'll be a total of 36 here in a second with a lot of Zerglings, but the Mutas had to pull back now to aid in this defense because MMA is making a very large push.
Well, DRG needs to crush this push right now or he is going to have a hard time winning this game, and he is about ready to go, I think. Here we go.
A lot of tanks are already sieged up, but the Banelings are continuing to roll on through. Few of them get targeted out, but most of the Zerglings actually took the brunt of the damage, so there's a ton of Banelings left over. I don't know if MMA has enough left over. That's time in English.
Barely not enough. I mean, he did a pretty good job splitting initially, but the amount of Banelings that DRG had really was what ended it in the end. MMA, with just a few less siege tanks than he really needed to. DRG continued to attack here, and he still has a couple Banelings. Nice target fire on those. And MMA will be able to push him back just a little bit here, but look at the supply lead now for DongRaeGu.
It was about 20 supply higher than that just a second ago. A little bit over eager from DongRaeGu there, but he still certainly has gained himself a really nice advantage in this game. He's sitting on 4 bases. There is another command center coming up for MMA, but it was just started, so he's going to be a little bit late to those. He's still sitting on 69 workers at the moment, so his economy is quite respectable, but he's really just going to need a lot of attack units very soon.
We just saw a moment ago on the production tab that MMA is adding, and there you can see it now, adding on 2 more factories. With the style that MMA is using right now, the very heavy Marine style with upgrades, you sacrifice your siege tank numbers. Because of that, Zerg players can make a ton of Banelings and just push right through you. So MMA, knowing that, is going to make a lot more siege tanks. But the question is it too little too late? Because DRG is ready to move in here. Will MMA be able to defend this? It's going to be very, very difficult at this point.
Oh, yes, it is. And it looks like siege tanks are getting in position so he can fall back with this line whenever he needs to. A couple of command centers going to help to filter those units through. Oh, DongRaeGu is thinking about just going through the natural here. The Banelings are in position to do some damage to these buildings, but it looks like he's going to pull out. And a lot of Banelings went down to that target fire from the siege tanks.
Yeah, lost like 5 or 6 on that big hit there from DRG. Trying to squeeze through that choke. Not going too well, but he finally makes it through.
And the Banelings finally going to tear up a few of those SCVs. That's a little bit of economic damage done. MMA once again has killed quite a few Banelings without taking too much damage from them quite yet. That was pretty impressive, I have to say.
Well, he paid for it with his third base, though, and DRG is going to use that to get an even bigger economic lead, move into a very, very strong late game against Slayer's MMA. So, I mean, it's like I was saying earlier, with this style MMA does, you can be very aggressive, but if your opponent gets a good economy going, gets a ton of Banelings, you just don't have enough Marines. You can't split forever. You're eventually going to get overrun unless you have more tanks.
And we'll see here now, how many tanks does he have out? Just 6 at the moment. There's still 95, now 109 Zerglings on the field. None of them are Banelings quite yet, so this will allow MMA to slowly move up and get a good position so we can try and take a couple of bases at the same time. It's still going to be very difficult for him to pull this off.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, he's not out of the game just yet, but DRG right now, not only is he going to have a lot of units, but he's going to have the ability to reproduce a lot of units as soon as he loses the ones that he's attacking with right now. And that Reaper doing a little bit of scouting, saw what he needed to before getting taken out in MMA, trying to take that aggressive stance in the middle of the map. He needs to do something to protect his 3rd and 4th bases that he's going for again right now. But again, the numbers for DRG are just so high, it's going to be really tough for MMA to hold this off.
Yeah, he's got to pull back. He's actually got to re-stim. There's only 2 medevacs out on the field. Those are the only 2 he's made the entire game. He is actually able to take out a pretty big swath of Zerglings there, so DRG are going to have to think about where he wants to attack next.
Well, yeah, you still need to be careful with that, because as the siege tank count does grow, if you have an engagement where you lose a lot of units and you don't quite have the larva, don't quite have the income ready to reproduce that, get that army back up to where it was, Terran gets a nice window to then push and take out a base or 2. So even though DRG does have the lead right now, he needs to be very, very careful still in how he engages when he chooses to fight.
And he's maxed and already banking resources, building 6 corruptors as well. So when he frees up a little bit of supply with mutas or Zerglings, whatever he decides to do, we'll be able to make those Lords very quickly.
Whoops. Losing a Mutalisk right there, but as he gets closer to max, he's going to want to trade some of those Mutalisks for Corruptors, which he can then turn into those very powerful Broodlords, those strong late-game units for Zerg.
All right. Well, MMA going to try and drop off to the right here with one of the few medevacs that he has on the field, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. Oh, DongRaeGu decides that now is the time, though. MMA had a lot of his forces in transit. He's going to pull back to the siege tank line, which is quite considerable, but he is going to need to siege these up here.
Yeah, that drop outside the 4th base may do a little bit of damage for MMA, and traditionally this is how he's come back from behind situations in TVZ. But DRG, as you can see there, plenty of Zerglings, plenty of Mutalisks to clean up this drop. So MMA taking that hatchery down about halfway, but not able to really kill it that much.
Very nice decision, though, to pull off the hatchery when he knew he wasn't going to be able to get it and pick off a couple of additional drones. But still, drop cleaned up without doing too much damage. MMA is sitting in the middle of the map, though, with a pretty considerable force. He's starting to add on Thors, 2 tanks at a time as well. So he's making, he's producing off of 3 tech lab factories, I guess I should say. And looks like he will be able to clean up and eventually start a 4th base.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're right. He's doing what he needs to do. MMA's getting that siege tank count a little bit higher, so that attack that DongRaeGu did first with that huge amount of banelings won't work a second time. Now that MMA has that great siege tank number, that type of thing just doesn't work. So DRG may decide to push in once he has those Broodlords out. It's going to be very, very soon here. He's continuing to get upgrades. And MMA, he's going to be fighting for his life in just a second here. Siege tanks already need to unsiege, and that's the cue for DRG to come in.
Will he be able to do it, though? There's still a couple of siege tanks off to the right-hand side, and they do take out a few of those Zerglings. Oh, Thor, where are you going?
He's going to his death.
Yes.
That's right. Ugh. Oh, well, that happens to Thors every once in a while. DRG trying to get into that good position to flank MMA's army looking so small, all grouped up, nowhere to run or hide, and DRG is going to crush MMA.
Yes, he is. Well, that's a huge amount of banelings. There's the GG, and DongRaeGu is taking game number 1 of the lower bracket finals.
Yeah, I mean,